Hello and welcome to episode 6. I thought it was episode 5, but I guess it is episode 6 of Total Villain Multiverse. Now, I did say that once I made the season 3 intro, it would start in the following episode. But guys, I took Saturday off, and because of that, I haven't even made the season 2 one. So, yeah, maybe not Wednesday's episode, but hopefully like Friday's episode will have it. But it should be out whenever I finish it. I need to work on the season 2 one some more today. But anyways, let's start this episode with our Boney Island section. Now, Heather kind of wants to prove to her team that she's worth keeping around. And I don't know if she'd be able to really figure it out. I think the Mimic would be pretty good. Although there's not really too many people he can mimic into being a better finder that he's mimicked before. I mean, like, maybe I'm trying to think of who he'd be around. I think he's only able to mimic himself into being like actually transforming and being bigger or having like new abilities and stuff whenever he's in a costume. So when it's just him, all he can really mimic is his voice. So I don't think that'd really help him, and like his personality. Sin, on the other hand, I think would cause even more damage to Boney Island. Because remember, part of Boney Island is already burnt down. Like, I'd say like 25% of it. But the Skull Mountain, I think Sin would see either a Heather or the Mimic and then start running to attack them. And she'd end up sending a mini black hole straight into the Skull Mountain, bursting like half of it and crushing the Mimic in the process. So I actually don't think anybody would get this, just because I think it'd be too chaotic, and maybe Sin would destroy the advantage when she did that. It would get sucked into the black hole. So no advantages today. So it brings Sin back here, the Mimic back here, and Heather back here. But now we need to talk about our pre-challenge section. So on Alejandro's allies, Alejandro is still the quote-unquote team leader. But remember, Dr. Sloan is really the team leader. And after Heather failed to get the advantage, even though everyone does understand she was going up against Sin, they're still like, I don't know if she's worth keeping around. And even the others are starting to think that maybe it's not even blind obedience. They just think the more logical thing would be to have Sloan be the team leader, which they would have to get Alejandro out to do. And then, I mean, there's not much else going on here outside of Bowser, who's feeling pretty happy with this scenario. But now we can move on to Heather's Herd, although I think I should actually change the name from Heather's Herd to Harley's Herd. I think that's how you spell that. Harley's Herd. Because coincidentally, they both start with H. So Harley's Herd. I think that's spelled right. And on Harley's Herd, I don't think Daisy would stick around to Harley, although I do think she'd understand. But she'd at least distance herself for a little bit. It doesn't matter, though, because Harley already has majority with Toga, Magica, and the Mimic on her side. So they've just been celebrating having control of the team. Meanwhile, Death and Vader are pissed, but they're just going to have to lock in challenge-wise to not get voted out. Meanwhile, until there's a crack. Meanwhile, on Fiore's favorites, Fiore has kind of taken a bit of a back seat because of Wanda and Sasha being more important. But I think that might want to change. She wants to have a little more control because she's starting to recognize how actually powerful everyone is compared to her. So even though she does have a lot of people that help with challenges, she's afraid that if she keeps too many super strong people around, it'll be impossible for her come merge time. Especially like if somehow we got a Fiore Sin finale, I don't think Fiore's winning that, y'all. So she's gonna keep that in mind. But that's pretty much it for our pre-challenge section. So now we'll move on to our challenge section. And our challenge today is another partially suggested challenge This one was partially suggested by Twin Bear Wolves. Remember, y'all, I am out of challenge suggestions now, so if y'all have any challenge suggestions at all, feel free to put them in the comments below for a chance, or really just for a eventual time, for your challenge to be featured in an upcoming video. I try to do every single one, outside of ones that just don't really work well. So for this one, we have Challenge 52 being Horde Rush. Yes, that's a reference to Fortnite. So this is partially suggested because originally what Twinber did, I really changed like a lot of it. What Twinber did is it was each team would have to use materials to build like some fort-like structure, and whenever they would do that, they'd have to defend it, presumably from each other. And I'm assuming the first team that would lose their fort would be eliminated. The problem is that this is pretty much the exact same challenge as Peak Performance this episode from like, I think it was like episode 4 of season 2. Literally like almost the same, just on that one it was on top of the 3 mountains, and this one it wouldn't be. So I ended up changing it quite a bit for you, and also just added more lore bits like the scrapyard, for example. So using materials from the scrapyard on the island, each team has to build and defend a fort-like structure against waves of threats. The team to lose their fort first loses, and they'll be sent to elimination. If all 3 teams make it past 5 waves, there will be no elimination. But guys, that's realistically not going to happen, because round 1 is simply a moose stampede. I mainly did this as a reference to Pocateo Island, because that one literally has not, Pocateo Island literally has not been referenced, like, at all yet in the series, as well as, I guess, Redonkulous Race, because it really is just kind of insignificant. And then for round 2, it's animatronics. These are simply just a bunch of FNAF animatronics, including Fritz, who will be making his first cameo, I believe, since season 1. He might have been in the Gen 1 versus Gen 2 video last season, but I don't think so. So, yeah, Fritz will be the main person there. Now, round 3 is a simple zombie horde. This isn't anything too crazy, but I think that it'd be kind of hard for some people, but maybe not, because there also is zombies on 2 of the teams. In round 4 is where things really start to get intense, and honestly, this might be the hardest round, because round 4 is against each team will be assigned 3 MHA heroes. Now, these heroes can be anyone from like Zero, or freaking what is his name? Kamakari? I think that's his name. The electric guy, or Kaminari. Yeah, Kaminari. To freaking Deku himself, or All Might. Not, I mean, it wouldn't be Prime All Might, but still. Also, Monica and Agatha are included in that pool, since in this timeline they are MHA heroes in this story. And then round 5, even though it might not be as hard, but round 5 is each other. Now, the advantage wasn't found, but if it was, the team will be granted. That team will be granted special supplies from the storage shed. If y'all don't remember, during the costume contest, which was our Halloween special, oh my gosh, that was over a month and a half ago. But during that challenge, they had access to the storage shed, which is near the what is it called? Like the amphitheater? Yeah, near the amphitheater. And that has stuff that they use for all kinds of challenges. And just there's like a bunch of really good stuff in there. It's the storage shed from stuff. They're storing stuff from across the multiverse they can use. But nobody found that. Anyways, I think when we start, they all have access to the scrapyard, and because of that, the people who have the main advantage here are Harley's Herd. And that's because of the Mimic. You see, when the Mimic was still just mexes, he was thrown out here by Grim Foxy, and whenever he awoke, he built himself out of scraps here. He also killed Owen here, so he knows around this place, and he can remember some of the trash. Also, this trash does include remnants of a lot of past challenges. There'd be a lot of good references there, like maybe part of the rift portals that were in the season 1 finale and stuff like that. There'd be a lot of cool references here, but none of them really matter for the challenge. So when they build their fort, I think that Harley's Herd easily has the best, letting the Mimic kind of become the leader of the challenge. Alejandro's allies, Alejandro and Heather, would still be in a little bit of a panic mode and trying to lock in to prove it to their team, but they're keeping calm. And then on Fiore's favorites, Fiore is also trying to prove herself because she does feel really weak when she has Venom and Sasha and Sonar and especially Sin and Wanda against her. She's easily the weakest person on the island. So she tries, but it's more of a comedic relief thing, and it pisses her off. And then when the mooses come, I don't think much would happen. I think that they would actually slaughter a lot of the mooses. It just wouldn't be pretty. So I think once they send the animatronics, I don't think much interesting stuff would happen here either. The only things I think do happen is Afton gets absolutely demolished. Because they send just a bunch of random animatronics from throughout the series, along with Fritz. And Fritz is sent to Alejandro's allies. So while they plan on just messing up some stuff, he ends up seeing Afton and gets enraged. And along with the other animatronics, he beats the crap out of him, completely dismantles him, while the others just kind of sit back and watch. Nobody would even really try to defend him because, I mean, outside of maybe like Sloane, because it's kind of funny to them. And also Heather and Alejandro are like, more time for us to prove ourselves. But yeah, Afton does not get a good fate. Now, Lauren is a little smarter than Chris, so even though she does have Sin here, Sin has the cross necklace, so she's not a big problem, but like she didn't bring like Golden Freddy in, or anyone who would become like an actual problem. So that's pretty good for her, and for everyone, to be honest, because Afton would be trapped in hell if that happened, and obviously taken out of the game. So Afton is out of the challenge, but I think that they're still able to recover their base, but their base does get partially destroyed. Now, after they do, also I think that Harley's Herd would be fine, while Fiore's favorites, the Powerhouse team, would just demolish everything. Now, for round 3, the Zombie Horde, guys, I probably should have put animatronics after this, because they get cooked. I think that Bowser would be able to brute force most of the zombies, while Zomboss would be able to probably control a lot of them as well. For Harley's Herd, I think they could easily just send out Vader and Death, and they would take care of everyone. Meanwhile, for Fiore's favorites, I don't see there being a problem when they have Zombie Wanda on their hands. However, while this does happen, a different zombie starts trying to crawl up the side of Wanda, and she looks over, and she's like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about you, as Zombie Blake is crawling up her shirt, like up the side of it, not inside it, I should clarify, or whatever that is. It's not really a shirt, what like cloak thing, whatever she's wearing, and she just freezes him and freaking yeets him across, because she planned on using him during the final battle, but now that they're in the game show, she doesn't really have a use for him, so she just yeets him across the island, and he's still super small, but the magic will eventually wear off. But that won't be important for a while, so I think that they do easily beat the zombies. Now, number 4 is about to be where we take some heavy fire. Also, I can't remember if I said this already. I don't think I did. Number 4 was originally going to be the MFA, but the MFA refused after what happened during the MFA episode. So, yeah. So the MHA will be replacing them. And I think that, to be honest, I think Sasha's done, Rouge is done, Sonar's done, Fiore stays alive though. Um, then we'll talk about Harley's Herd last because they're the important ones for this. Heather's done, Alejandro's done. Heck, even Sloan goes. Bowser goes. Like, it's over. The MHA heroes are not holding back. I actually think that Alejandro's allies might almost lose. I'm not gonna say they do. But I think, yeah, I think these two are barely able to stay alive because the MHA people only get so much time, and they also want to hold back a little bit, so that they're not going to enrage the others and then get killed. Because these guys still can kill them because the cross necklace, what it does is it prevents you from doing anything that would be considered like a sin, but self-defense wouldn't be that. So this would technically be self-defense. So they're allowed to use lethal force. But obviously they'll just get one out mushroomed or rebooted anyway. And then on Harley's Herd, they end up actually getting Agatha, Monica, and Izuku. Now, this wasn't random. This was Lauren being an asshole to Toga, and also it would have been to Malik as well. But Malik is not here, so instead, Death is the one who fights. Death is the one who fights Agatha at first before realizing or knowing that it's Malik's daughter, but then eventually realizes, oh wait, no, you're chill because you hate Malik too, and ends up letting her go. I think the only person to fall throughout this is probably, I mean, it's Izuku though. Izuku and Monica. I think that boom, boom. Yeah, now that I think about it, boom, boom, and when it comes to Izuku and Monica, I think they have another battle with Toga where Toga's like, dude, I'm not even really thinking about you right now. I was already distracted with Alejandro and Harley now, so I'm just trying to chill out a little more. But not like full-blown redemption arc. She's only saying this because she wants to win the challenge. And while Izuku's like, oh, that's very nice of you. Maybe you could join UA someday. Monica goes, hell no, and snaps her neck again. Again. That's happened so many times. So Toga gets her neck snapped again. Now, then we move on to the final round, which is round 5, each other. Remember, if all 3 teams make it through this round, which the way this would happen is they only get like 10 minutes, and their bases aren't like, they're not close, but they're not like far away. They're just like around the place, around the island. But I think that there's no shot that we keep everyone around here. So what happens is Wanda and Sin they tell Fiore to just stay with Venom, and Venom will hold down the fort while they go and split up and take down the other 2. Meanwhile, since Alejandro's allies and Harley's Herd know that those are the 2 that are alive still, along with Fiore and Venom, they decide they gotta hold down the fort. They're about to get ready for the fight of their lives, except for Death, who decides that he can try to sneak up on Fiore's favorites before Sen gets over to Harley's Herd, which Sen is going to Harley's Herd. Alejandro's allies are getting attacked by Wanda. So I think that at first it looks like Fiore's favorites are cooked as Death is slashing at Venom, and Venom is trying to help, but even without Death's access to the final reality, he's still able to pretty easily defeat Venom before getting snuck up on from behind as Fiore uses a trap she had built. which basically she had Venom, who's good with her. Venom had actually been luring Death right where Fiore wanted her, or him. And Fiore gets on a rope that they had built, swings down with oh, by the way, they're provided with their weapons, so I probably should have said that earlier, but they are provided with their weapons. But she swings down with Sasha's sword in hand, and she slices Death's head off. Now, Death is immortal, so it'll just grow back, but this does count as him being out of the challenge. So after it grows back extremely quickly, he just flips him off and growls at Fiore. Which Fiore is just laughing like a maniac because that felt really good. She's not a murderer or insane, but just to stick it to her team, mainly. Like, this character, she's not, like, actually going to turn into a serial killer. She's still just a 10-year-old girl, but that's just super desensitized now. So now that Death's fallen, Sin and Vader are having an all-out anime battle, which would be very interesting to watch, although I do believe Sin is still stronger. But while that happens, I think that it's time for our team to lose. And that team that is going to lose is going to be Alejandro's allies. Yeah, I just put everyone back. Yeah, no, I've decided to have them lose. So we move on to our post-challenge section, where things are looking pretty dire for Heather and Alejandro. So they decide to spend the last they'll see of each other at least till like comebacks, just on a nice little date. However, their date gets interrupted, and at first they're annoyed, but it looks like maybe their time might not be over, as they're approached by Bowser. Now, Bowser says that he knows damn well that once Heather and Alejandro are gone, and Sloane is the leader, Azula, Afton, Sloane, and Zambos are an unbreakable four. So, what he wants to do is break them right now. Now, at first, Heather and Alejandro like that he wants to work with them, but they're like, it's still 3-4. But Bowser instead says that he wouldn't be so sure, as while he was walking Andreas out, after Andreas had been eliminated like 2 episodes ago, he actually tripped on his way back. And when he tripped off the dock, which is where they go to the dock, where just for like the show, because it is like an actual in-universe show, but they walk over to the dock where Lauren is waiting with the rift gun. Or well, not Lauren, I think that it'd probably be better if Midas is waiting with the rift gun, just to give more Midas screen time, and also because, you know, he's the one who runs the prison, while Lauren has to make sure everyone goes back to their cell in 6. So, well, Midas is waiting for the rift gun. Well, while he's walking back, he trips and falls into the water, while where he ends up seeing that under the dock is a immunity idol. Now, this immunity idol is just a simple immunity idol, and is the last idol slash advantage outside of just the episodic challenge advantage ones from Boney Island. Outside of those, it's the last idol that will be hidden for the merge, the pre-merge. Then they'll have the ultimate idol. I can't remember what I called it. I think it's the ultimate idol in the merge. But until then, this basic idol has been given to Alejandro and Heather. Now, with it, Bowser says that if he gives it to them, they have to vote who he wants out. And they're like, okay, that's fine. And Bowser wanted out. Well, actually, let's just say first, Alejandro and Heather, I don't think they know too well which one of them is going to get out, but I think that when it comes to the elimination ceremony, they decide to go and give the immunity to Alejandro. So Alejandro, because he's the team leader, they want to take control of the team first, and have Sloane be the leader first. So Alejandro stands up and pulls out his idol, hoping that he was right, and he was. Everyone gasps and is just like, damn it. Except for Sloane, which is like, yeah, I probably expected that, to be honest. but she's still nervous as they don't know which of the four of them is going home. Bowser's grinning ear to ear as well. So Alejandro hands it to Lauren, and Lauren's like, yep, this is a valid immunity idol. Any votes cast against Alejandro will not count. Which means that these 4 votes for Alejandro do not matter. So what does matter is these 3 votes. Now you might be thinking, oh, maybe it's Sloan, because Sloan is clearly the fan favorite / team leader. And while that's what Alejandro wants, that's not what ends up happening. No, instead, Bowser decides that he wants Zomboss out. You see, Bowser's had a bit of a hatred for Zomboss these past few episodes, but mainly whenever they were in the actual villains team last season, because Zomboss would always force Bowser and Andreas to just be the brute. They never could be the brains. Now, Bowser is an idiot, but he doesn't want to be seen as an idiot. So whenever he was just, like, he's explicitly told that you're only good for your muscle and your fire breath, that hurt him. That's also why him and Andreas bonded so much. As Andreas, while being a lot smarter, still was only used for that and his sword, while also being pressured by the core to help these villains, which the core is the entity in his crown, which has kind of made him more villainous. I don't know if that'll ever be really explored too much. But now, breaking the 4th wall, y'all, this is a crazy elimination, because we have our overarching villain of the season so far going home as our 4th boot. If Malik wasn't intense enough already, this definitely is. He is incredibly shocked and starts having a actual temper tantrum. Like, it's honestly quite pathetic. And when he walks over to get rifted away by Midas, he's brought to his cell, his new cell at Midas's prison, where Chris is waiting and just laughing at him. When she tells Chris to go shut up. So that'd be pretty funny, comedic relief. But anyways, yeah, that is our 4th elimination. I'm sure y'all weren't expecting that. So I'm going to bring everyone back down here, but unlike the last 2 episodes, I did not forget about Boney Island. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So let me bring them down here. So for Alejandro's allies, I think on Alejandro's allies, Alejandro is still the one. And since Heather can't go again, he considers sending himself, but as he's seen how actually insanely powerful these people have been that have been getting sent there, he decides to go ahead and send Azula, because Azula, he also thought about sending Bowser, but Azula has more firepower and is responsible for the fire that burned down 25% of the Boney Island already. So, and also Azula, unlike Sloan and Springtrap, or Afton, whatever you want to call him, doesn't just downright hate Alejandro and Heather now. Because the other 2 do hate them for getting out Zomboss, because those were like the 3 masterminds. But Azula, while she does dislike them, it's not to the point where she would try to throw a challenge, which these 2 wouldn't get the team advantage because they would want to lose and go into tiebreaker. But yeah, so I think they would go ahead and send Azula. And then I almost just ended the episode without doing the other 2. I'm stupid. And then on Harley's Herd, they sent the Mimic last time. I think they'd probably send over Vader after his crazy good showing in the last challenge. And then Fiore would be like, okay, everyone's like, okay, are you sending Wanda? Are you sending, well, you already send, but are you sending Venom? Which powerful person are you sending? And Fiore's like, you know what? Screw all of you. I'm sending myself. So Fiore goes over to Boney Island as well. So we'll see how she fares, to be honest. It might not be that well, or it might be really well. I guess y'all will just have to see on Wednesday when we do our next episode of Total Villain Multiverse.